Hello everyone and welcome back to another Batman miniature game 3rd edition battle report for the channel. Today we have a 350 rep Birds of Prey crew featuring the newest releases / backup they've received versus 350 rep of a Batman crew which does not feature Batman and also features one of the newest releases. There's going to be a lot of fire in this battle report, I think. But without further ado, on the table setup you see before you, which is kind of on the theme of a police raid on a banking building for organised crime, I guess. Let's take a look at the two crews. So here are the new and improved Birds of Prey, although they're being led by the new / standard 3rd edition Poison Ivy, who's bringing along Kite Man, because why wouldn't she? And running the usual like pimp Kite Man out as much as possible, and he's actually pretty decent. He's got a grapple gun, adaptive planning, and corrosive blood, so he's basically a xenomorph. Bringing along one of her plants, that's the ranged plant. It also has corrosive blood and some extra ammo, whatever it's called for plants, extra spores, I think. But the new stuff, we have the new Harley Quinn and her harlequin themed thugs. We have, let's see, I'm going to cheat slightly. They're called roller derby thugs. Roller derby thug 1, 2, 3 and 4. One's got a grenade launcher, one's got hand flamers, one's just a chunky brute. Another one's kind of a quick moving guy with a hockey stick. They're all fast though, in the literal sense. They all have the fast roll, which does, as I think we previously discussed in these videos, have a new definition updated in the app. After any model completes an action, a model that has fast can use it once per round. So if someone moves into line of sight, they want to get out of line of sight, they can help. It's a 2-inch move. It's not insignificant. Harley herself, she has a very powerful move called Harlequin's Show, where she can discard a card from her hand of objectives, and depending on the type of card discarded, she can give a different buff to one of our roller derby thugs within 8 inches. It can include giving a used up activation audacity token to someone else to use as a fresh token. They can do a free attack, they can get some health back. So it seems like a really powerful ability, but she does have to stay near them, relatively speaking, within 8 inches. So that's the only downside. But yeah, it should be really interesting to see how these perform today. And here's what the Batman-less Batman crew looks like today, being led by the new Nightwing, the really good Nightwing. He won't be starting on the table because he'll be appearing at some point via Shadowed Nightmare. He'll be popping out with a suspect marker essentially. Bringing along 2 free agents because he's charismatic, so he can do that. Red Robin, haven't seen him that much. I don't think he's that great to be honest, other than the hacking and Informer I think he gives. But neat model, and he's teamed up with Dick quite a lot in the comics. And then we have the new Azrael, who is hidden beneath his flag there. So he sets people on fire, he has to pick a target every round, and he gets some bonuses and benefits if he gets to them and takes them out. Pretty neat. And then along with him, we're bringing Harvey Bullock, who has a helmet to give him hardened, just to try and give him a bit more survivability. Oh, can't really see him because Nightwing's in the way. A helmet for hardened. We have Officer Martinez, who's right here from the Batman themed starter set. He has a radio, and then we have GCPD officers 1 and 2. This one has patrol training. Let's see, there's something else I'm forgetting. Oh, Tim has circus training from Dick to give him acrobat, which makes up for one of his failings, and inspiring presence to give him leadership. I feel like I'm forgetting something on the cops. Definitely patrol training, definitely radio, definitely helmet. I think I'm forgetting one thing, but we'll cover it if it comes up. So we are all set up and good to go. Actually didn't forget any funding for the Batman, got it all, or the Batman crew rather. Did get Informer confused with Searcher again as always, but either way we are set up, and also didn't assign Audacity colours to anybody, but the Birds of Prey are going to be black and red because that's the Harley Quinn colours, so that's the colour markers they're going to use. There's only one Phase 1 / Phase 2 card being played. The Batman crew is putting into play their Die Hard, so that's being played on Azrael because he's super tough and probably will not be in much danger. His armour acts kind of like light armour. It reduces a die, not a strength die, so it's not quite as good as bat armour, but it's okay, and he's pretty tanky. So I feel like he'll be okay, even though he is within 4 of a light down there. But let's look at where the Birds of Prey are set up. First, we've got the fire roller derby thug here next to Harley, the one with the hockey stick. Then we have Kite Man next to Poison Ivy, of course. And then we have the other 2 over there. The chunky lad has Audacity, Kite Man does, Harley does, and the one with the flamethrowers do. Now, for the purposes of just making the table look a little bit better, the 4th sewer grating is actually this, up here. But we're just going to use the actual skylight because Harvey has used his hidden to deploy up there. So he's just enjoying coffee and a donut on top of whatever building this is. Azrael is down here in the corner, as just shown. We have Red Robin here, Tim Drake, he has Audacity. Officer Martinez is over here. He has a radio, so doesn't really need anything. The other JCPD officer is there, and the one with patrol training has appeared right there, just outside of deployment, up to 8 inches. Nightwing not on the table with he can have Audacity, but he does have it in this case. Did forget though, because there's one plant in the Birds of Prey crew, they get to put down a suspect marker before we get started. So we'll show where that is before we do the first activation, but the Batman crew did win priority. They have 1 pass, so they could use that if they wanted. So let's jump into battle round 1 and see what happens. So the free suspect marker that the Birds of Prey get because of the 1 plant they have was put behind that barrier there. Measured carefully to make sure it was not in the threat range of either of these cops, utterly forgetting of course the Red Robin can move 10 inches and he also has hacking. So that's an interesting thing. If you give him Acrobat, I guess he doesn't get an extra inch from that, because the rule itself no longer gives an extra inch. Either way though, he moved up and he is hacking that place suspect marker right next to him, and he's revealing it in order to score a comb through everything. Genuinely did not think that through when making sure it was out the way of the cops. Wanted the plant to pop up behind the barrier to start shooting at them, but Red Robin had other ideas. So to get the Birds of Prey's game started after that little snafu with the suspect marker, Kite Man activated and you made use of the grapple gun he's been given via funding. He also picked extra movement for adaptive planning, and it will be that unless stated otherwise going forwards, because he needs it because he's 6 base. He shot up onto this little area here on the building, put down a suspect marker that is concealed in shadow. Oh, but prior to doing that, when his turn first activated, Our Best Alone was played on him, so every time he puts down a suspect marker, he puts a number on this. At the end of each turn you roll, and if it matches one of the numbers on the card, you score it for 2. He's going to put a 3 on it for the first suspect marker he's put down. His goal, because he doesn't need the grapple gun to keep ascending this building, because of how his kite rule works, especially if there's a suspect marker nearby him, it gives him extra inches. And it's in a bit of an awkward place to also allow Nightwing to spawn, so he did not. Officer Martinez activated for the Batman-less Batman crew, shuffled up like an inch or 2, well, at least 2, and then put down a suspect marker that has become the first snitch of the game, using that radio of his to get the manipulate action in order to do so. The flamethrower wielding roller derby thug for Harley activated, and this is a good indication of just how speed is so much like their focus. He moves 10 inches, so he moved 10 from where he was next to her all the way over here. Just realised, of course, I think he was within 8. We'll have to measure that to see if he was within 8 of Poison Ivy, because if he had a free manipulate, he might as well put down a suspect marker. But he moved 10, which got him roughly there. But he completed an action, so he opted to use his once per round fast roll, so he moved 2 more inches, put him against the bonnet of the car. He flamethrowered across it. It's an expansive template. Got him. They've got the JCPD officer for 1 blood, 1 stun. I think it actually should have set him on fire as well, so that'll be fixed in a second. But here's the part, his turn's not actually over. His weapons also have a new rule that I believe the grenade launcher in the crew has as well, called motion. If he successfully does damage when he attacks, he gets a free 3-inch movement, which is important, because right now he's in Azrael's threat range. Azrael moves 12, so he could reach him. He's going to push himself back 3 inches that way. Azrael can no longer reach him, and he managed to do some damage. So that is ultimately where the roller derby thug ended up. However, he did not start with any of Poison Ivy because he was on the far side of Harley, so no manipulate to put down a suspect marker, but he did set the JCPD officer on fire, which means when he activates, if he can do a movement action, he must, and he can suffer -2 per fire marker on him to get rid of them. If he has any on him at the end of the turn, he takes 1 blood. JCPD Officer 2 activated, that's the lady who's kind of pointing with the stop hand. She didn't have Audacity and obviously isn't anywhere near Nightwing, so all she did was move up 8 inches to aggressively point at the police barrier. The new Harley decided to activate for the Birds of Prey, and that gives us a chance to take a look at some quality Birds of Prey shenanigans. Picked Harley to activate, she activates, immediately removed the suspect marker up here, which is the Audacity marker had to be moved out of the way to make this possible, just to make it look clear, and replaced it with a plant, because that's what you can do. They spawn in during another model's activation, so it's there, it can activate. It doesn't have Audacity or anything like that, but it's basically, that's a turret type plant. So it's basically a turret mounted on the wall up there now, with relatively okay line of sight on this bit of a table. But the other reason she did that is because at the exact point that happened, the bold text came true on imposition, because that meant that the birds of prey had 0 suspect markers and the Batman crew has their snitch, which means it's 1 versus 0. There are more enemy suspect markers than friendly suspects in play, which means this gets played face up on the table, and it becomes the secondary, much easier scoring condition, which is just a friendly model places a suspect within 4 inches of an enemy model, and then you score. Which is exactly what Harley did. She has adaptive planning as well. She took extra movement, didn't need it, but she's fast anyway. She moved over here, she put down a suspect marker, and that instantly scored the imposition because it's within 4 of him. So that has scored for 2. But we do still have more to do, though. The turn is not over. Just wanted to show all that off while it was done, but to make sure it's done right. But there's one other thing. She's has a special action using Harley Quinn's show, and she's getting rid of her specific objective card. It gets discarded, and because it's the gun type card, I think these are called violence cards, I can't quite remember the classifications. Either way though, because it's a gun symbol that she's discarding, she picks one of her roller derby thugs within 8 and they get to attack. So she's going to pick him, and he's going to use the flamethrower again to burn this poor sod over here. So we'll be back in a second to see if that lands. Well, that JCPD officer has gone from lightly broiled to extra crispy because the attack did land, so he is double on fire, which means he's going to have to take a -4 to his movement to get rid of both those markers on his activation, and 1 more blood, 1 stun damage. That is the last of his ammo though. He only has 2 loads of ammo in his flamethrower. He can still, as a special action, use Flaming Wave, which is an AoE around him to set things on fire, but he's good for like burning one model, it feels like, and then he's got to have extra ammo to be like truly scary. The Batman crew used their one and only pass, so it was back over to Birds of Prey, and it was the roller derby thug with the hockey stick that activated. Without Audacity, but next to or within 8 of Poison Ivy for a free inspired manipulate, which he used after moving here and putting down a suspect marker. Incidentally, he is the target of Azrael's God's Fury, or whatever the rule is called this turn, so Azrael would get bonuses against him if he could reach him, but he is not reaching him. Before he put down that suspect marker though, I forgot to mention once again, he put down the other works best alone, so him and Kite Man, their job is putting down suspect markers. He's going to get a 4 put on this, so that means a 3 or a 4 will score one of these at the end of the round. So after a bit of umming and ahhing, it was decided that Nightwing is going to spawn on the placement of that suspect marker. It can be placed within 8, and then henchmen, or people with the henchman rank, within 4, I think, or 2, either way. They suffer enervating 1, there and there, and he did have Audacity given to him as the game started. So he's probably going to activate now because he doesn't want Poison Ivy to go trying to hypnotise him or anything. So let's see what havoc Nightwing can do. And just like that, Nightwing has vanished. He made use of Always on the Move first of all, which means he can stop a movement action midway attack, then keep moving. He moved an inch or 2 to get into base to base with, in hindsight, the wrong thug choice. Should have been the one with the hockey stick. Left him alive because he was Azrael's target, but Azrael's not going to get him. So that was a bit of a mistake, especially because this guy's got no ammo left. But either way, he did go after him, moved an inch or a bit, an inch and a half-ish of his movement, used Always on the Move to initiate an attack, efforted once, made use of the enervating as well because he's doing double stun with combo. The thug did not effort at all. All said and done, 8 stun through, so he is very much knocked out, and in doing that, Nightwing scored a cheap and cheerful 1 for a dirty job, just for making an enemy model KO'd. But upon him doing that much damage, Pretty Birds is now face up on the table for the Birds of Prey because an enemy model inflicted at least 5 damage to a friendly model with a single attack. So now the scoring condition of this one is an enemy model just needs to do damage to someone they couldn't see at the start of the turn. So it's a much easier score. Nightwing then used the rest of his movement to come back down here. Then he made use of Vigilante's work, which is why he has 2 stun, not 1, where you take an effort to put down a suspect marker. And he did just that in the back line. So a bit of an odd angle, but the chunky roller derby thug activated and moved. And he moves 10 despite his size down here. He then made use of his once per round fast to move an additional 2 to put him where he is. And then he initiated a melee attack because he has reach 3 on his hook and chain, I think it's called, or chained hook, sorry. Blood stun, sharp, reach 3. He efforted twice. The GCPD officer 2 did not. She's very cheap and cheerful, very low stats, attack 2, defense 3. He got 2 hits through for 2 blood, 2 stun, all said and done, which did score the easier condition of the Pretty Birds just put into play, which is hopefully in focus, can't quite tell, but that's scored for 2. Now it is worth pointing out, there's just coming back over to what Nightwing was doing, maybe he did pick the right thug in the end, because he picked the thug that already used his fast for the round. If he'd gotten into base to base with him, and he didn't have always on the move, he could just initiate his fast move to move away 2, which means he would be safe. Now, because always on the move happens during the move and then the move continues, he hasn't completed his action, so I guess it's in Nightwing's unique case for having that always on the move, which is a rare rule. It would have been fine, but in all other situations, that seems like such a powerful change to the fast rule. Like, imagine Azrael gets into base to base with his target, right? He's finished an action. The new definition for fast says when a model completes an action once per round, you can move, the speed you're given, which is 2 in his case. So he could just move back 2. Azrael doesn't have reach, so he's just wasted his time. Like, that seems like such a powerful rule. Anyway, not connected to that activation, just something I noticed. So the Batman crew went with JCPD Officer 1, that was the one that was double on fire. He has to do a move action, not that he had any other options because he didn't have Audacity and he's not got a gun or anything. So he did move, he suffered a total of -4 to his move to put out the 2 ticks of fire he had on him. Gave him 4 inches of movement, so he just moved himself slightly sideways more so than anything else, a little bit back, and didn't do anything else with his turn. So the plant up here decided to activate next and fire its caustic spores at Nightwing. Now, it's medium range, so that gives it 16, but there's no light or anything near Nightwing, so he was shooting into the dark, so he lost 2 dice for that, meaning there was just 2 left, not the strength die either, so I don't think caustic applies. And Nightwing just used Acrobat, suffered 2 more stun to get rid of them, because if they'd gotten through it would have been 1 blood, 1 stun, so taking just the stun, even if it was just like a 50-50 chance, seemed like the best option. Very hard to get angle on, but up on high, Harvey activated and put down a suspect marker at the far end of the building before moving to this end of the building to hopefully do the same next turn. Just trying to stay ahead suspect markers wise on the off chance there's cards that they can deter, but accidentally also put into play another imposition as the easier scoring criteria, because that means that there's now 3 Batman suspect markers to 2 birds of prey. So the second last activation for the birds of prey was the final roller derby thug, the one with the grenade launcher. No Audacity, but did start next to Poison Ivy. Incidentally, fairly sure during the crew overviews did not mention that Poison Ivy has the modified pheromones upgrade, which means you can try and mind control 2 people per turn. Not that she had any plans to do it this turn, which in hindsight is a bit of a problem because Nightwing can obviously get right up in your face super quick. But either way, the roller derby thug moved up 10, then made use of her once per round fast to move another 2 forwards, put down a suspect marker with that free inspired manipulate. We're really having to lean around the corner here, and that is within 4 of that JCPD officer who did not get knocked out by the big guy, which means that it scores that imposition, so thanks Harvey. Last activation in Battle Round 1 for the Batman crew was God's punishment himself, Azrael. He moved up 12 inches. Upon completing a movement though, and perhaps seeing what was going to happen, Harley was like, I'm going to make use of my fast. So she moved 2 out of the way there, and then he used Flaming Wave, which ironically is the exact same special skill as the thug he was trying to hit. Flame template over him, anyone covered, which he was, is 3+, and then you take 1 blood and get set on fire. Unfortunately, he failed the roll. So he actually did nothing except give himself 1 inflicted stun for doing Flaming Wave, which will hopefully just heal at the end of a turn, obviously. But yeah, he didn't really do much that turn. So without Audacity, there wasn't many options open to Pamela, and there's a lot of powerful people down this end of the table. Nightwing and Azrael can do a lot of killing, and she doesn't have fast. So she just moved up here, and she's going to maybe go help out those 2 roller derby thugs next turn. So that does take us to scoring for Battle Round 1. So at the end of Battle Round 1, the roller derby thug who had been knocked out actually woke up on a roll of snake eyes, so he is just knocked down now, and we'll handle the birds of prey first. They have 2 I Work Best Alones in place. We just need to roll a die and see if it's a 3 or a 4 essentially. And it is a 4, so that means that was the thug with the hockey stick. His card has paid out and will now, pardon me for just reaching across awkwardly, and will now be added to the score pile for 2, which is just as well because they had no phase 4s or anything else. The Batman crew, Azrael was fine, so they scored their Die Hard, and their Snitch was fine, so they scored that for 3. The other I Were Best Alone, the one tied to Kite Man, up there, stays in play as we go into Battle Round 2. So we are ready to take a look at the board state at the top of turn 2. Birds of Prey have taken first activation, and they're also the only ones playing an objective card in Phase 1 or Phase 2. They are playing Eerie 2 in Phase 1, just to be confusing. Your opponent places an event marker in contact with the tallest scenery element. We had to study the map for quite a few minutes to find out what the tallest scenery element is, but eventually we determined that by an inch or 2 it's the big building in the middle. Place an event marker in contact with that. If there are more friendly models that are not KO'd than enemy models within 4 of the event marker, they should say event marker, not event, but whatever, score the card. The event marker is, of course, put into the furthest possible corner on the back of the building there. I guess we can quickly take a look at the Audacity markers around here. Red Robin's got one, Officer Martinez does, the chunky guy does for Birds of Prey. Then we'll come around. Bullock on top of the building does not this turn because he moved into position where he needs to be last turn. Azrael has it, Nightwing has it, and then for the Birds of Prey, Harley has it, so does Kite Man, and this time, so does Poison Ivy. So I think that covers everything. Birds of Prey activating first. Let's see what happens. Well, after managing to get a certain card in hand, there was a perfect scoring opportunity for a normally very difficult card to score. So the Birds of Prey had to go for it. Harley activated, moved to where you can see her, and put down a suspect marker there. It is outside of the 8+2 from the deployment line, and it means that there's 3 friendly suspect markers within 4 of her, one of which is within 4 of an enemy, Nightwing down here, meeting the very annoying scoring conditions for Poison Ivy's unique card Regrowth. 3 friendly suspect markers within 4 of the active friendly model, and at least one of those is within 4 of an enemy model. Scores for 3. She then used her Harley Quinn show rule to discard I'm Feeling Weird, which is a defensive type card, to heal 2 damage on the roller derby thug there, just to try and give him a fighting chance, although he is, I forgot to mention, he is Azrael's target this turn because he's knocked down, so he won't be able to use that fast to get away from him. So perhaps unsurprisingly, we're sticking over here because Azrael wanted to feast on his target. Now, he has a double blood sword that's sharp plus fire, I think, and then he's got a double stun sword which does some other stuff, but if he's attacking the person who he has selected as his target for the turn, he must use the double blood sword because he is intent to kill. So he efforted 3 times. Thanks to that extra healing Harley provided, he efforted twice, but he is on the floor for the -1 defense. But he also gets +1 to his attack rolls if he's attacking his target. So, you know, just a casual 8 damage means that this roller derby thug is going to the big roller derby in the sky, and Azrael scored a cheap 1 point with They Must Know Pain just to score on it. But because he killed his target for the turn, he gets a free manipulate action for the rest of the game, which is really good. And the reason he moved around that side of him before initiating the attack is so that he could reveal the, it's a bit hard to see, the suspect marker there with that free manipulate, so it's going to be gone in a second. Lastly, he has a special action called God's Banner, buffs everyone who has the Saint Damas keyword, which at present in the game is just him, but presumably down the line there might be more, to heal 2 of that stun, so he's only going to have 1. So we're over this side of things because Poison Ivy activated and moved over here. Adaptable gave her 2 extra inches as well, which was necessary for what she wanted to do. First of all though, when Azrael revealed that suspect marker, Tough Girls is being put into play as the face-up objective card, and any model reveals a friendly suspect marker, so now it will score if a friendly model reveals an enemy suspect marker, and there are more friendly suspect markers in play than enemy. Hopefully that'll actually score, because it's worth 3. But for Poison Ivy's turn, she didn't really get close enough to do Hypnotize, but she got close enough that she could do her Poison Spores without hitting her own teammate. Roughly here, it's catching Red Robin and the GCPD officer there, hit them both for 1 blood, had a 3+ chance on each of them, and poisoned them both. And because neither of them could see her at the start of her turn, she scored the normal scoring conditions for Pretty Birds. 2 enemy models suffered damage from the same attack action by a friendly model neither could draw line of sight to at the beginning of their activation. Simple as that. Officer Martinez was next up for the Batman crew. He moved up so that even if Fast was activated, they would not get out of range of his service revolver. Sadly, because of moving and firing, he was only rolling 1 die, but the roller derby thug with the grenade launcher, her there, she only has defense 2, so pretty sure bet. So he went after her with the shot, landed it, but instead of doing 1 blood, 1 stun, did double stun just to score a non-lethal out of focus ammo. The roller derby thug with the hockey stick activated and didn't have Audacity, nowhere near Poison Ivy, so all he did was manipulate the sewer grating to go running into a place that actually matters. We'll show in a second. During his turn though, Joker O-meter, which came back into hand, has been played on him. Play this card near the character card of the active model. When another model within 4 inches of him rolls 2 natural 1s in any roll and isn't removed from the game as a result, this model must be placed into contact with it and performs a melee attack against it if it inflicts damage and scores for 3. Now, one thing to note, it doesn't specify it has to be an enemy, so you could go smack one of your own people, presumably. But either way, he got out the sewer down here so that he is within 4 of the event marker for Area 2. The poison JCPD officer activated down here without Audacity, so all she did was put down a suspect marker, didn't do anything else. She's got 2 health left, so even if the poison procs at the end of a turn, she will still live, on the assumption that no one smacks her. Kite Man activated for Birds of Prey and hovered his way up here with his paltry 6 inches. Unfortunately, his overly large base means that his size is not able to fit in this area that would normally fit a standard size base, so we're just going to say it's okay. And he put down a suspect marker because he had Audacity and didn't do anything else with his turn after that. Tim Drake, Red Robin, activated with Audacity. He moved into base to base with the grenade launcher wielding Harley Thug. Did not use her fast because he has reach on his bow staff. Oh, actually, that's the thing. Is it reach 2? Because if it's only reach 1, she could have got away. We'll need to check that in a second. But he used 2 efforts. She didn't because she's already wounded. He only does single... Oh, is it single blood? No, it is single stun. Yeah, with handy and reach something. His old card doesn't have the updated reach roll, so we'll need to check the app. He got her really well. He efforted twice and got her for 6. She already had 2 stun on her, so she is very unconscious. He also made use of his special action to do hacking and has shifted around the 2 suspect markers that were over here. The one from Martinez in the previous turn and the one just placed down by her. Yeah, so Tim does have reach 2 on his bow staff, so there was no point initiating the fast move because he still would have been able to reach her because he started in base to base after he moved. So that did happen as stated. Speaking of reach, the chunky roller derby Thug 1 activated, made use of his reach 3 again to attack the poor lady here. All said and done after he efforted twice, 2 hits got through for 2 blood, 2 stun. The blood damage that has accumulated on her has resulted in her removal from the field. He then moved 10 inches, didn't use his fast yet, to come down here to try and help secure that Area 2. Originally he was going to move over there and just counter the 1 there, but now it's no longer going to be a draw, so that's a problem. And, I think there was something else to mention, was there? He moved, he had the 2 stun, I don't remember now. If there is anything else to mention, we'll cover it in the next part. Of course, immediately remembered upon pressing stop record. He started next to Poison Ivy, so he used that free inspired manipulate from his boss to put down that suspect marker right there. Nightwing activated for the Batman crew. Didn't really have a super exciting turn though. He just ran over to the cop car here and revealed the enemy suspect marker that had been placed there in order to score a comb through everything. But he scored points, so it was worth doing. Random aside though, forgot to mention, I believe, when Kite Man put down the suspect marker up here on the building, it placed a 4 on his I Work Best Alone, so there's a 3 and a 4 on there now for the end of the turn. We're almost there, not quite though. Plant left to go for the Birds of Prey, and I think just him left to go for the Batman crew. So the Plant here just took some pot shots at Azrael, but Azrael, God's punishment, is an acrobat. He acrobated twice, or dodged twice rather, with acrobat, to get rid of 2 of the shots that were coming in. One die lost his Armour of Sins, I think it's called, and the final die missed. So there was actually 2 activations left for the Batman crew. Totally forgot, as the camera slips a little bit, totally forgot about Bullock up on the building there. But we can cover their activations real quick. Neither of them had Audacity. The GCPD officer down here just moved 8 inches to in front of the barrier there, and Bullock had already moved into position for last turn. He put down a suspect marker, and it is being end of turn snitch, which is just going to score, but we can cover that properly with the rest of the scoring. So then about round 2, both sides have lost someone now, and the poison roll for just Red Robin, because the cop that got removed was the other one who was poisoned. He passed, barely. We need to check to see if Kite Man scores. That was a 2, so no he does not. It would have been a 3 or a 4 required. We can cover the cards. Oh, let's cover the card that's being played before we cover the ones in play. He secured the perimeter is being played by the Batman crew. The 2 that were over by Red Robin that he hacked into position are being removed, or have already been removed. So that scores, and the snitch that Bullock put down obviously scores, because there's no one up there. So that scored for 3, which is just as well, because Area 2 does score. There is 2 Birds of Prey within 4 of it that are not KO'd, and there is no allies, no Batman crew. So that scores for 3. Our Best Alone stays in play for Kite Man. The Joker meter stays in play for the hockey stick wielding Thug, and the face up card is the Tough Girls one still, because it didn't reveal any enemy suspect markers. With that, let's move into the penultimate round. So at the top of the penultimate round, there is no phase 1 or phase 2 cards being played by either side, so we just really need to cover who has Audacity. However, did forget to mention the grenade launcher wielding roller derby Thug did not wake up. whiffed the wake up roll, so they're still on the dirt, or in the dirt. Let's take a look at Audacity down here. Of course, Azrael and Nightwing have it. Harley has it for her crew, although she is in danger. No one has it up here, including Kite Man. And then over here, because there was more pressing matters, both these roller derby thugs have Audacity. So does Poison Ivy, and so does Red Robin for the Batman crew. But that's it. So with that, and it is the Batman crew who took first activation as well, thanks to their unused pass. Red Robin got turn 3 started and used Order as a special action to make Officer Martinez put down a suspect marker. He then ran his 10 inches all the way down here, and we measured this out very carefully, to throw his throwing bolas at the hockey stick wielding roller derby thug, so that if he did move away 2 inches in any direction, he's still within 8 because they're short range. So either way, there was no avoiding it, and he was outside of 12 and outside of a light source and all that when he started his activation, so this thug could not see him. So even though he only did 1 damage plus 6 slow, so that's 6 inches off of his movement, They Won't See Me Coming has scored for 1 point. Could have been better, but at least it's something. Harley activated for the Birds of Prey, having no desire to be murderized by, well, technically, I guess because of the way the fast roll works, only Nightwing could hit her, because she could just move away from Azrael, although he could try and bait it out, I suppose. Either way, though, for her adaptable, she took extra movement as well, and she made use of her fast. So she had 16 inches in total, so she did her 14-inch move, then activated fast, moved another 2. Put her down here. She put into play during her turn the nest, which presumably you have to do because it's a phase 3. Doesn't score until the recount phase, though there has to be more Birds of Prey in the enemy deployment zone than there are Batman miniatures in Birds of Prey deployment zone. So that's in play. She then discarded using the Harley Quinn show They Must Know Pain, which is a gun type again, so she gave the chunky one a free attack. Engaged against Red Robin. They're not in base to base, he's got reach on his attack as well though. Managed to hit him with just the strength die for 1 blood, 1 stun. Simple activation for the Batman crew next. The JCPD officer on this end of the table walked right to the edge of the table and put down a suspect marker thanks to the free inspire from Nightwing being right there. Whatever could he possibly be starting to set up? The chunky roller derby thug activated removed his own suspect marker by turning it into loot, the last turn in which there's an opportunity to do so, and then he ran deep into the Batman deployment zone just to help that nest card score. And the only person able to set up the other half of what definitely isn't another secure the perimeter Nightwing activated, he had to be the one to run to the edge and also put down a suspect marker. It feels like a bit of a waste with his killing power, especially because he hasn't even used his 1 load of batarangs yet. But, you know, he could have done something like truly insane and done like a diagonal movement, like suffered impaired. Oh, he wouldn't even suffer impaired movement. He could just move over there, throw batarangs, but he's not going to take out Harley, so it seemed like a waste. Immensely slowed by the bolas that Red Robin through roller derby thug activated, hobbled his way down here, put down a suspect marker, and is also just staying in the enemy deployment zone. Azrael activated for the Batman crew next, which doesn't have Batman. He moved over here very slightly and removed the final Birds of Prey suspect marker that was in this area, and in doing so scored confusion for being within 8 of the enemy deployment zone, which it very comfortably is. Well, Poison Ivy tried to go in for a cheeky little kiss. She used Mortal Kiss as a special action, went into base to base with Officer Martinez, efforted 3 times. With hindsight, she never used her adaptable, or never declared an adaptable at the start of her turn, so she technically could have had 1 more, but it would not have made a difference. She needs to land 3 hits for Mortal Kiss to kick in. She's only attack 3, so best she could have went up to 4. He efforted 3 times to counter anyway, so she even whiffed the strength die, and he fully blocked the 3 attacks that did get through, so even if 1 more did, would not have made a difference. Bullock finally decided to travel down from the roof by going to the sort of sewer grating and poking himself out down there in the back end. He's in their deployment zone, but it's still not going to be enough to counter the 3 that are in the Batman deployment zone, so the nest is still going to score. He can't stop that. But he's in position to do something in the final turn at the very least. And that's it for the Batman crew for this turn, thanks to the other GCPD officer being down, I believe, which means we're just over to the plant, who has 1 load of ammo left. I'm not sure if he wants to waste it shooting at an acrobat again, but what other options does he have, really? And Kite Man without Audacity. So of those 2, Kite Man activated and moved across the balcony just a little bit. He actually did have a couple of extra inches, I forgot, because he was next to a suspect marker. Doesn't really matter. There is actually still 1 more Batman activation. It's Officer Martinez without Audacity down here with Poison Ivy. I don't think his gun has light. No. Well, we might actually. No, short range and firearm. Nope, so he can't even just fire the gun at her. He's probably just going to move. So we'll see in a second. Yep, so Officer Martinez just moved to the far side. He's going to try and get into the deployment zone of the enemy in the next turn. There's something to do. The plant is not going to bother wasting its last bit of ammo. Whether it shoots at Azrael or Nightwing, they're both acrobats. It doesn't seem worth it. The GCPD officer might get into range next turn. Bullock might come around the corner and get into range. So it's worth him holding on to his last load of ammo, I think. So we're just going to hold that there. And that means we're into the cleanup for the penultimate round. So at the end of battle round 3, Red Robin failed his poison roll, so he's taken 1 blood. And the roller derby thug with the grenade launcher, we're not going to get to see them do anything. They did not wake up with an absolute whiff of a roll with an 11. So they are down and out for the game. Whether or not they just eat dirt or get arrested, I guess we'll see. As probably expected, another secure the perimeter has been put into play by the Batman crew. This suspect marker and this one are the 2 that are being removed. So that's scored for 2. Birds of Prey have a bunch of cards in play. Oh, we need to check for Kite Man first of all. Oh hey, it scored. It was a 3 or a 4. So the other I Work Best Alone has scored for 2. The Tough Girl stays in play. The Jokerometer stays in play. The Nest scores 3 versus 1 for how many of each side is in the other's deployment zones. That scores for 3. During the recount phase, there are more friendly models in the enemy. Oh, actually no, you don't even count the ones in the in your own deployment zone. It's just if they're in their own. So yeah, that easily scores for 3. Wow. And the valuable commodities stays in play with the chunky roller derby thug. So with that, let's go to the final turn. Dawn of the final day, the final turn of the game, and the Batman crew have retained first activation. And everyone for the Birds of Prey crew except the unconscious one have Audacity, because there's only 4 of them left at this point. Well, no, sorry, no, and the plant, because the plant doesn't need Audacity. It's either shooting or doing nothing. So other than that, everyone has Audacity. For the Batman crew though, Azrael has it, Nightwing has it, Bullock has it, I have to come around this side of the table, Bullock has it, and so does Officer Martinez. There is no additional Phase 1 or Phase 2 cards being played, so we can just jump into everyone's last minute grab for points. Officer Martinez got the final round started and unloaded the last of his ammunition into Poison Ivy. Her vines count as protective, so she was getting a little bit of a buff to her defense stat, but it didn't matter. He rolled very well, got 3 hits through, and instead of 3 blood, 3 stun, it's 6 stun, thanks to the other non-lethal ammo being scored. Not enough to take out Pamela. She's got 8 willpower, so she's fine, but at least he got a card score on it. So basically, just to secure the loot, the chonky roller derby thug activated and just moved ever so slightly as far away as possible from any enemies. Could have put down a suspect marker, I guess, assuming there's still room. Yeah, there must be. He'll put down a suspect marker just so he's done something. But during his activation, another Nest card is being put into play to score at the end of the turn for 3. The GCPD officer, who's a little bit in the threat range of Harley Quinn, activated, moved along and then used a free inspire from Nightwing to put down a suspect marker. So a little correction, when I said the 6 stun on Ivy didn't mean anything because she had 8 willpower, I forgot that earlier in the game she'd already been damaged and she'd only healed back up to 2 stun on her, I think. I hope that's correct, but that does mean she was at 8 willpower, so she is actually unconscious and won't be getting a turn. If that's a mistake, that she should have healed some of that 2 stun left on her, I think it's been getting healed correctly at the end of each turn. Could be wrong. But it's only going to deny her an activation more so than score anything for the Batman crew. That in itself is still bad, but it seems like she is meant to be knocked out. Harley shifted along ever so slightly. She is still in deployment zone on the Batman side to count towards scoring the Nest. She put down a suspect marker just outside of 4 of the one over there. Might actually need to be slightly round or a little bit, but it doesn't matter because it's more than enough within 4 of Red Robin to score in position. A friendly model places a suspect marker within 4 of an enemy model, and there's at least 4 friendly suspect markers in play, which there definitely is. Well, Nightwing did the exact same thing he did last time. He ran over to a table edge. It should actually be a bit closer, but the cards have been resting here, the Birds of Prey cards. But he has put down a suspect marker there to get removed for being within 2 of the edge, trying to score that last secure the perimeter. So looking at the board state for the surviving members of the Birds of Prey that haven't activated, there isn't anything they can do to score their cards or get rid of them or cycle them, etc. They're basically done. It's just down to denial. They've got the plant here who could shoot an acrobat for no good reason. Kite Man up here, he could put down a suspect marker, but that's not going to do anything. So really it just comes down to what the Batman crew can do and how much it interacts with the Birds of Prey. Azrael can move over here, put down a snitch. That's about it. He can put down a snitch for his turn, then it would go back to Birds of Prey again. Again, they're just trying to do denial. The only other thing that is potentially possible is if Bullock has enough movement to reach the unconscious roller derby thug, he can arrest her and score a cheeky 1 point on that for removing someone because it counts as a casualty. We'll measure that up and be back in a second. Nope, that's as close as Bullock could get, so he cannot arrest her. So with that, we're just going to go into the final recovery and scoring phase. So before we go see who's won, let's handle the scoring of cards. The third and final Secure the Perimeter is scored for the Batman crew. This suspect marker and the one Nightwing, which would be on his right, have put down, are getting taken away to score that. The Nest once again scores for the Birds of Prey, because they have 3 people in the deployment zone. Joker Meter does not, Imposition does not, but Valuable Commodities does. So they managed to score 6 there right at the end, which might be the difference maker. Let's go see. Apologies for the glare, but let's count up the cards here. Batman Crew's deck, definitely more cards in it, but they have a lot of lower cost ones, whereas the Birds of Prey managed to score some of their higher cost ones. So let's see how it went. So we have 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30 on the dot. Beatable, I think, honestly. I think 30 is beatable. Let's see. That's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. The Birds of Prey. Oh, was there anything they could have... This is where we have to ask. Was there anything they could have done? Let me see. Let me double check their final hand. The one with the stick couldn't have done anything to potentially get Joker Meter. Let's see, a bunch of stuff for revealing friendly suspect markers, enemy suspect markers. They're not near any, so you can't score those. There was another Nest card, you can't have 2 in play, and they must know pain. No one's doing 6 damage. So no, I don't think they could have done anything. So yeah, they lost by a single point, but they put up a good showing. The new roller derby thugs, really good. Harley obviously has to be around them for them to be to their true potential, give them some extra actions and some other stuff. But yeah, they seem really, really good. They work very well together. They complement the Birds of Prey cards, which they desperately needed. I'm trying to think who you could bring instead. Like, get rid of Poison Ivy, just have Harley be the leader. That would give you space for some more, maybe some heavy hitters, or even more quick people just to get in, like get to the deployment zone of the enemy as fast as possible. Scoring each of those Nest cards really early, that's 9 points. They've got a lot to work with, and just put down suspect markers as they go and make use of those fasts every turn just to cover so much distance. Not that great at fighting, but that's not what they're meant for really. But yeah, I think they had a really good showing. Azrael, we didn't really get to do much. You can't keep up with him, even though he moves 12. He dodged a bunch of shots from the plan up there. That's about it. So we'll have to see him again in the future to see him really shine, I think. But he did have a free manipulate I forgot about a couple of times, to be honest. Wouldn't have changed anything though. Thank you very much for watching. I sincerely hope you enjoyed, and we'll hopefully see you in the future for more. Please do remember to subscribe to be alerted when there's new ones, or if you want to go above and beyond to support the content we produce on the channel, including Batman, consider pressing the thanks button or checking out the Patreon. Until next time, ta-ta for now.